गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जयो राधमाधव कुञ्जबिहारी जयो राधमाधव कुञ्जबिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जयो राधमाधव कुञ्जबिहारी जयो राधमाधव कुञ्जबिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय प्रभुपा जय प्रभुपा जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Hope you can see my screen. My audio video is all working fine. Is it all good?
Yes, Prabhu, everything's working fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So we'll start from reading Srila Prabhupada Vidamrita, chapter 19. Would anyone like to volunteer in reading from the screen?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Reading from Prabhupada's Lilamrita, chapter 19. Carl Jurgens had helped Prabhupada in times of need. He had helped with the legal work of incorporating ISKCON, signed the ISKCON's charter as a trustee, and even opened his home to Swamiji when David had driven him from the Bowery loft. But those days when he and Eva had shared their apartment with him had created a tension that had never left. He liked the Swami, he respected him as a genuine sannyasi from India, but he did not accept the conclusions of the philosophy. The talk about Krishna and the soul was fine, but the idea of giving up drugs and sex was carrying it a little too far. Now Prabhupada was settled in his new place, and Karl decided that he had done his part to help and was no longer needed. Although he had helped Prabhupada incorporate his International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he did not want to join it. Karl found the Second Avenue Kirtans too public, not like the more intimate atmosphere he had enjoyed with the Swami on the Bowery. Now, with the audiences were larger, and there was an element of wild letting loose that they had never had on the Bowery. Like some of the other old associates, Karl felt sheepish and reluctant to join in. In comparison to the Second Avenue street scene, the old meetings in the fourth floor Bowery loft had seemed more mystical, like secluded meditations. Carol Becker also preferred a more sedate kirtan. She thought that people were trying to take out their personal frustrations by the wild singing and dancing. The few times she did attend evening kirtans on Second Avenue were tense moments. One time, a group of teenagers had come into the storefront, mocking and shouting, "Hey, what the hell is this?" She kept thinking that at any moment a rock was going to come crashing through the big window. And anyway, her boyfriend wasn't interested. James Green felt embarrassed. He saw that most of the new men were making a serious commitment to the Swami, whereas he could not. He had no bad feeling towards the Swami and his new movement, but he preferred to live alone. Robert Nelson, Prabhupada's old uptown friend, never deviated in his good feelings for Prabhupada, but he always went along in his own natural way and never adopted any serious disciplines. Somehow, almost all of those who had helped Prabhupada uptown and on the Bowery did not want to go further once he began a spiritual organization, which happened almost immediately after he moved into 26 Second Avenue. New people were coming forward to assist him, and Carl, James, Carol, and others like them felt that they were being replaced, and that kind of obligation toward the Swami was ending. It was a kind of changing of the guard. Although the members of the old guard were still his well-wishers, they began to drift away.
Thank you, Mataji. We'll stop it here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll do the invocation prayers. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatu jayam udiryate nashcha prayeshu padreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttame shloke bhaktir bhaveta nashtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Shloka number 43. And the shloka is Narada Uvacha Iti Tau Dampati Tatra Samyusam Samayam Mitaha Tam Pravashya Purim Rajam Mumuddate Shatam Samaha Narada Uvacha Iti Tau Dampati Tatra Samayam Mitaha Tam Pravashya Purim Rajam Mumuddate Shatam Samaha Narada Uvacha Iti Tau Dampati Tatra Samyusamayam Mitaha Tam Pravishya Purim Rajan Mumudyate Shatam Samaha. Would anyone like to recite the shloka?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll try. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Narada Uvacha Iti Tau Dampati Tatra Samudya Samayam Mitaha Tam Pravishya Purim Rajan Mumudate Shatam Samaha. Thank you.
Thank you much. Anyone else?
Can I try, Prabhuji?
Please go ahead.
Narada Uvacha Iti Tau Dampati Tatra Samudya Samayam Mitha Tam Pravishya Purim Rajan Mumudate Satam Samaha.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to try? Okay, we'll go for synonyms. Narada Uvacha. The great sage Narada spoke. Iti, thus. Tau, they. Dampati, husband and wife. Tatra, there. Samyuta, being equally enthusiastic. Samayam, accepting one another. Mitaha, mutually. Tam, in that place. Pravishyaha, entering. Purim, in the city. Rajan, O king. Mumudyate, they enjoyed life. Shatam, 100. Samaha, years. Translation, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Narada continued, my dear king, those two, the men and women, supporting one another through mutual understanding, entered that city and enjoyed life for 100 years. Purport: 100 years is significant in this connection because every human being is given a concession to live up to 100 years. The span of life is different on different planets, according to planet's distance from the sun. In other words, 100 years on this planet is different from 100 years on another planet. Lord Brahma lives for 100 years according to time on the Brahmaloka planet. But one day of Brahma is equal to million of years on this planet. Similarly, the day on the heavenly planets are equal to 6 months of this planet. On every planet, however, the span of life of human being is roughly 100 years. According to the lifespan of different planets, the standard of living are also different. Om Jnana Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamischa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tvam Sajivam साद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखावितान्विष्य हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. So, I recite the shloka once again. Narada Uvacha iti tau dampati tatra samyud samayam mitaha tam pravishyam purim rajam mudyate shatam samaha. The great sage Narada continued, my dear king, those two men and women, supporting one another through mutual understanding, enter the city and enjoy life for 100 years. So before we continue with today's shloka, we'll just have a quick recap as to what has happened so far. So in the previous chapter, we have seen that Prachetas has gone for austerity for 10,000 years. There were 10 Prachetas, son of Prachinabhari. So they have gone out for to do tapasya for 10,000 years, and they have been instructed by Lord Shiva, and that's why the previous chapter was also known as Rudra Gita. And so Narada Muni was, want to make sure that his father, Prachinabhari, is also doing some sort of austerities. But when he came, he was enjoying material life, material opulences. So Narada wanted to preach Prachinabhari, how he can preach that's what we need to understand from Narada Muni, that if he can um, preach to the king, the whole praja will also follow. So we don't need to go individual to different houses. Instead of that, just preach the main person, and that's why if the king is doing it, the praja will also do it. It's also known as killing the rhino. So it's hunting the rhino. So not killing, hunting the rhino. So in this shloka, there are prominent 2 points that we can discuss today. From the shloka, the one is enjoyment, and the second one is duration of life, which Srila Prabhupada has said very clearly that the life on different planets are there, and this varies from planets to planets. Time on planet A is different than from planet B. But this also confirms that this life is on each and every planet. No matter is this different um, different composition of the body. Like we are made up of 5 elements: earth, air, water, fire, ether. Right. The composition of the living entity staying in sun would be more of a fire, very less water. You know? Similarly, the people and the life on moon will be different. Jupiter will be different, but they will be live for sure. But their composition of the body will be totally different than what we have on this planet Earth. But scientists are still trying to prove that if there was water on Mars, that means there would be a life on that planet as well. So um, our scriptures confirms that there were life in each and every planet, depending from distance from the sun. So let's explore the topic. We generally get mixed up on the very common words, which are happiness and enjoyment. I mean, real happiness I'm talking about, not happiness. Real happiness and enjoyment. Let's quickly have a quick look. What's the difference between the real happiness and enjoyment is? So real happiness is related to the soul, whereas the enjoyment is related to the gross body, subtle body, senses. And we are all looking for the real happiness in our life, which is what we are doing right now, which is the food for the soul. So by as enjoyment is like when we're trying to find real happiness, we almost get entrapped in enjoyment because we don't know what real happiness is. And that's why so many people go out trying different things. They go out, try drinking, smoking, association, gambling, casinos, whatnot, illicit relationship. They think that's enjoyment, but what happens after some time? It deteriorates. It's very shallow. It's not which is permanent. So these are the few main differences of real happiness versus enjoyment. So if you look at the fact that our soul has got 3 basic components, which is Sat, Chit, and Anand, which is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And that's the reason why soul wants to enjoy that, Sat, Chit, Anand. However, the soul is entrapped in this material body, which is the body with 9 gates. You know, the body is entrapped with all those 5 elements, with our senses, with subtle body. And because the soul wants happiness, our body thinks and react in a way that, I want to enjoy. So let me try this, but they don't know what real happiness is. And that's why you can, as I said earlier, there are many people doing all those nonsense things, which are not meant to be done because they don't know what real happiness is. So because we are in this material world, we have taken birth so many times, repeated birth after death. We have the forgotten our constitutional position, which is the soul is Satchit Anand. And that's why it says in Shikshashtakam Chetu Darparmajanam, due to repeated birth and death, the layer of dust has accumulated so much that we have forgotten our relationship with our God. We want to enjoy in this material world without God, though it's everything belongs to it. So that's what people are thinking. I was listening to one of the lectures, and one of the Prabhuji was saying that the scientists are trying to prove that before 2040, they will reach to the point where they would have discovered immortality of the jivas. They won't be any more deaths. They would have found the solution of it. But that's practically impossible. Those who have taken birth is bound to die. Bhagavad Gita confirms that. Anyone who has taken birth will die for sure. So saying that they will reach the point of immortality is nonsense. They cannot even think of it. They may have, yes, they may have some sort of chemicals that may apply on the body which will look younger, but they cannot get the body to deteriorate anyway. Somehow or the other, it will go from old age, from boyhood to youth to old age. It is bound to happen, and that's the main problem of the world. We don't know what real happiness is. We're hankering here and there, and that's why we are struggling. We are trapped with all senses. But once we become free from the bodily concept of life, then we can understand our true nature. In this scenario, we are searching for happiness and engaged in sense gratification, trapped in this material world. Knowing that at the end of the day, we have to leave everything behind. So that's again bewilderment of the body, that someone else will die, we won't die. So from boyhood to youth to when they get married till old age, we are always hankering for things I can collect. I can get this, I can get this, I can get this, I can get this. Knowing that as soon as we leave the body, whatever we have been doing for last, average lifespan of a person is 80 years. What I've been doing for last 80 years will be left behind. And we have to face the inevitable, the death at the end of the day. So we are not getting prepared for the fact that's going to happen, whereas we are preparing for things which is bound to lose. So why to focus point when we know that point is going to lose at the end of the day? Start preparing things which going to be useful after that for our next journey. So that's what the real knowledge is. And when we try to go for that real knowledge, real happiness comes automatically. So that's what our main point of focus is. Should we know the real problems, then we can get to the real solutions. That we are not this body. This body gonna die after some time anyway. We need to know the difference between what is real happiness is and what is enjoyment is. And once we know this, we can proceed further in our spiritual realization. Because what we are seeing is with our contaminated eyes, we are looking at contaminated enjoyment, looking shallow enjoyment. As I said earlier, we are looking for very shallow things. We are not looking for what is real happiness. Real happiness means something which will never end, and you will never feel. You will feel I want more. This is what real happiness is. You will be fully satisfied, and once you are fully satisfied, you won't hanker more. Whereas on the other side, enjoyment is what? If you have tried something, after some time, let me try something more. Let me try something different. You will try more and more different things, but you will not satisfied. Whereas real happiness, once you have tasted it, you will be satisfied in full, and it's everlasting. It is permanent, right? So that is the real difference between happiness and enjoyment. And we get confused because we are in this material world and we are looking with our contaminated eyes. Oh, this must be happiness. If I do this, I will get happiness. If I do this, I will get happiness. But that's in fact completely on the other side of the table. Because of these so many enjoyments, we are getting entrapped. We don't even realize this. The soul doesn't, the body doesn't even realize this. That's the real knowledge. That's what Srila Prabhupada has given us. This is try to open our eyes. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to say about this enjoyment in real world. Would anyone like to read?
Try, Prabhu.
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada. When one realizes that he is simply struggling life after life, there is actually no real enjoyment in this material world. One becomes devotee of Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Vijay. So Srila Prabhupada very clearly says, after taking so many births, after struggling life after life, we realize that this is not the place to find enjoyment. We are in the wrong place finding the right thing. It's like that. Is trying to is incompatible things we are trying to do in this world. We are trying to find happiness in Dukhalam. How is it possible? It's as if like you're trying to find uh, a sweet rasgulla in a bowl of salt. It's not possible, you know. It's not possible. So you're trying to find happiness, the place where there's no happiness. It's next to impossible. So that's why Srila Prabhupada says that, when the one realized that, they are struggling life after life and finding that there's no real enjoyment in this material world, he turns towards spirituality. Okay, if this is not what I'm supposed to do, then what am I supposed to do? If I'm not supposed to be here, then where am I supposed to be? If I'm not this body, then who am I? That is called a self-realization. So the next session is about the lifespan of Brahma. So that's as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport about duration of life varies from planets to planets, and duration of life of Brahma is trillions of years from human life. So I'm gonna explain this a little bit more in the next slide, but this picture generally shows where we are. So I'll quickly show you. Basically, we are right now here around the seventh Chaturyug, and so we are almost in the middle of the Mahakalp, um, and we still have got 7 more Chaturyugs after this one. So we are pretty much here in the middle. So remaining current days of Brahma is around 2.34 billion years from now. We explain this in more in detail how the time is calculated. So this is our Vedic calculation starting from the minute particle, which is atoms. Like 2 atoms equals 1 molecule, 3 molecules equal 1 transparent, and goes on till Kali Yuga, which is 432,000 years. Dwapar is 8.6 million. Treta is 1.2 million. Satyug is 1.7 million. And similarly, when you combine all of them, becomes one Chaturyug, which is 4.3 million years. And 71 of those Chaturyugs is one, which is called as one Manvanta, which is 306 million. And we got 14 of those Manvantas, which is equals to 4.3 billion years, human years, and that is just a day. So night becomes 8.6 billion, and 100 years of Brahma, which is 360 times 100 times 8.64 billion, becomes 311 trillion years. That's the life of Brahma. That's very massive if you compare to ours. And if you similarly see, I'll give you a nice example. If you in India, they are during the rainy season, you will see small mites which flies, which take birth at night. They come out, fly. So for those flies which comes out at night, for them they have taken birth at night. They get matured, they go to the youth, they get married, and they get the family. They get old and they die in just one night. Those flies. So if you see in the morning when we open the door, this is what I remember when we open the door in the morning, and there's so many dead flies during rainy season, on the ground. So many dead flies. I didn't realize at that point of time because they just got life only one day. And for that for those flies, we a human being are like Brahma. We live for 80 years. For them, it's just one night. They take birth, they they go through the whole process of their life, and they die in the morning. And if you see ourselves, our life compared to Brahma is just like those flies. We are insignificant. Having said that, Lord Brahma, human being, and the ant all have 100 years of their lifespan, but they differ from body to body, place to place, right? So having looking at the above table, we can see that even Brahma, the creator, is bound to have because it's again in the material world anyway. Lord Brahma is also in the material world, so he's bound to be illusion, to commit mistake, to commit, to be cheated, imperfect senses, but but in a certain degree. But the real problem of life is namely birth, death, old age disease for us as human beings. But in this age of Kali, we are bound to not only have these four defects, we have four real problems as well, which I told you earlier. But we have other three kind of miseries as well, which is Adhyatmic, Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik. So in this material world, there are so many deviations, so many difficulties we have been put into. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given very easy way to come out of this material world in this age of Kali. So we were there in some time, somewhere in Satyuga, we were there practicing the meditation process. Somehow or the other, we didn't went through. We again gave the exam in Treta Yuga, doing yajnas and all that. We were not good at that. We came to Dwapar Yuga. We tried doing Ajvigrah. We again didn't do nicely. Now we're in Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and said, right, you've gone through 3 exams already. We haven't gone through. I'll give you the easy solution, which is, just chant the holy name and go home, back to Godhead. However, Krishna says, right, because you have given the so easy solution, because they've taken birth in this material world, they have to comply with few difficulties that they have to go through. So let's have a quick look at that, what Krishna has made those difficulties for us. So if we crack those things very nicely, we can easily go back to Godhead. Let's see what Krishna is saying here. Would anyone like to recite the shloka and the translation, please? Okay, I will read the translation. It says, O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have a short life. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, disturbed. So as I said earlier, Kali Yuga is not so much about lack of food, it's all about irregular habits that we have developed for our sense gratification. So first of all, it says about short life. Why we have short life? Because we have got so much of habit of overeating, sense gratification, over dependence on another mercy, artificial standard of living, that they sap the life out of human being. And that's the reason why we are short-lived. If you see in Satyuga, the lifespan of the jivas was 100,000 years. Longer the duration of Satyuga, longer the life. As we come to Treta Yuga, the lifespan went by 10 off from 100,000, become 10,000. In Dwapara, it became 1,000, one more zero off, 10,000. And in Kali Yuga, one more zero off, it became only 100 years. And now we are slowly down to around 80 years. No one hardly stays for 100 years. Very few, right? So that's what lifespan is we are reducing our lifespan because of all these habits that we are doing in this material world. So this is what we need to struggle in this material world if taken birth. We are short-lived. The second thing is we are quarrelsome. So not only people, but the communities get quarrelsome. Quarrelsome is unwanted fight. Countries are fighting with each other. You see, there's a fight between Ukraine and Russia is happening. The Gaza and something was happening in the past. Israel, I think, yeah. So the fights, unnecessary fights, are happening in the name of religion. Why people are making so much of weapons, ammunitions, nuclear bombs for what? If something happens, we're gonna kill them. If anything happens, we're gonna drop the bomb. That's why we are taken birth in this material world. We have to go through this. We have become lazy. This is perfect example. We have developed so many things in this material world to become ourselves lazy. So many different, not only materially but spiritually. If you see, If you see nowadays, even in marriages, the Pandit comes, they say, take 100 rupees, do the things fast away. You know why? Become lazy. Who gonna sit for 3 hours and do the actual rituals? You do it. Nowadays, there online yajnas are there. You don't need to do any hauti. You have to just give the money to the transfer the money to the Pandit. He will do online puja and he will do ceremony there. So you're sitting here in New Zealand and someone is doing yajna in India. Because of what? Laziness. Chanting 16 rounds, so difficult. My goodness, who gonna wake up 4:30 in the morning? There's a time for sleeping. We'll do 4 in the afternoon, 4 in the morning, 4 afternoon, 4 evening, 4 night, 16 done and dusted. Why can't we do in the morning? Lazy, we can't wake up in the morning. So these all things are clubbed as a package when we take birth in Kali Yuga. Second, the next one is misguided. This is again the most common thing that we will see in this material world. We are bound to face this thing. All of us would have seen bogus gurus for sure. Their lectures, my goodness, they are superficial, so superficial. But what's happening? Because many people of we are lucky that we are under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, but there are many people who have not even read the scriptures. They get easily deviated by these bogus gurus. Why? Because they haven't read the scriptures. Simple as that. They don't know what they are saying is right or wrong. That's why that's the reason why there are so many crimes committed in the name of in the name of religion, because we don't know what truth is. We don't know what the scripture says. That's why we are misguided. And above all, we are always disturbed because men in this age are victim not only of political ideology, but as well as political parties as well. And they have got so many of sense gratification things that's happening around them, like smoking, drinking, gambling, movies, this and that. They're distracted always, and they don't know what's the right thing for them to do. That's why they get distracted, and that's why they're always disturbed because they can't commit to the society. That's why you can see there are many suicide cases happening. Yes, the cases of depression now is so many than it was 50 years ago. Why? Because there's a lot of competition going on. That's why people are stressed. Is you see small kids in India, they have the moment they go into school, they have been dumped with, you have to compete with this, you have to compete with this, you have to compete with this. If you got score less than 95%, you're gone. You won't get job, you won't get this and that. Eventually, the kids get so much stressed. If they fail, for example, if they score less than 70% of marks, we have seen so many cases in India when I was in 12th, 10 plus 2, higher secondary. They commit suicide. Why? Because expectations are too high. They are always disturbed. If you get this, you will not get this. They are always disturbed. So these all are attributes that also factors our life in this material. We have to come up with all those things that what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the translation. It says in the age of Kali, they are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all disturbed. So we have to come above that. Apart from those four things we have discussed, three miseries, four defects, and four real problems. These are again on top of that. So we have to cover all these things and come up with it. So if we do above this, we can easily find real happiness, and we'll slowly go towards the point how we can find it. The second thing you need to understand is the time factor, which in this context is talking about the time, how the time is being monitored in this material world. So it's coming from Srimad Bhagavatam 7.6.6. It says every human being has a maximum duration of life of 100 years. But for one who cannot control his senses, half of those years are completely lost because at night he sleeps 12 hours, being covered by ignorance. Therefore, such a person has a lifetime of only 50 years. So expectation of life, as we said, is 100 years. Now it's reduced to 80 years, which we can see. No one is living up to 100 years. But Srila Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam says that of which we sleep 12 hours. So 24 hours, 12 hours we are sleeping. That means of 100 years, we are living only for 50 years because half of the time we sleep. So if we are living for 80 years, that means we are living only for 40 years, right? And of those 40 years, next shloka translation says, in the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years similarly, one passes 10 years. Similarly, in boyhood, engage in sporting and playing, one passes another 10 years. In this way, 20 years are wasted. Similarly, in old age, when one is one is one is an invalid, unable to perform even material activities, one passes another 20 years wastefully. So this is talking about how the time is passing by and what we are doing. So I was trying to look at some hard facts as to how our life is, how the life is of a human being, which is an average human being, done by scientists. Okay, so this is all data which they have collected. If you see upon your screen, it says in bed we spend 33 years of our life. So we're talking about somewhere life of a person is around 80 years on an average. Okay, we're not talking about 100 years here. So we're talking about only 80 years. So in bed, we spend only 33 years, which is which consists of 26 years sleeping, and 7 years on top of that is trying to sleep. So it's not that we're gonna go on bed and we'll sleep straight away. So once we go on bed, we'll just go for some time. We lie on the bed for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour before we go into deep sleep. So we spend 33 years of our lives sleeping or on the bed. Right? Apart from that, on average, we spend 13 years working. Now, I'm not talking about that you are working from, you started working from the age of 27 and retired at 65. No, I'm not talking about that years. You're talking about continuous years, okay? Non-stop. So you work for 8 hours. So remaining 16 hours are still there in your remaining days. So we're talking 8, 8, 8, 8. That becomes 13 years non-stop. You're working for your work commitments to make up your career, going for doing all doing your work to get material Lakshmi at your home. Now this is very, very prominent. Screen time. Apart from those 8 hours which we spend at work, we spend a decent amount of time on screen time. That is going on social media, going on Facebook, watching TV, and you were spending time in front of something which is not supposed to be done. Basically, you're spending 11 years of a life goes on screen time. Around 4 years and 6 months, we spend time eating. Now, this is very arguable that we just take 10 minutes, but if we add up from childhood till the 80 years, it adds up to 4 years, 6 months eating. Around 3 years and 1 month and 3 weeks in holidays, just an average. We spend around 1 year and 4 months in doing exercise for your well-being. And being romantic, we spend 1 year and 30 days. And whatever is remaining now is around, we spend 235 days in a queue, whether it's going somewhere, waiting for something, going on a pub, waiting in the line. This is for queuing. Around 115 days laughing. And getting ready for women is 136 days, and for men is just 46 days. And whatever that remains is around 8 years left in our bucket, which we spend on traveling, cleaning house, having family, going out, having fun. So this is how our life is break down for 80 years. So if you see that we have got so many of commitments, this is how we're going to spend our life. And the Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this. It's not that the scientists have just said, the science has just proved this out of 80 years, this is how you spend time. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. The first 20 years, you won't be doing any devotional service. That's gone out of question. Not 20, I would rather say 25, because 25, we study till 25. By the time we graduate, it's like 20, 23 years. And suppose in case someone fails, it becomes 25 years. I'm just kidding. First 25 years completely gone out of 80. Then we start. Then after that, last 20 years gone because we can't do any devotional because we are old. We can't walk. We can't see. We got cough. We can't chant properly. Devotional service in last 20 years also gone. So if you see big figures like for 25 is gone when we were kids, we were studying. Last 20 years gone. That remains in between is around 30 or 40 years. In that 30, 40 years, you have to maintain your house. You have to go for a job. By the time you come from job, you're tired, you have food, you go to bed, you have your family to take care of. So where will we do devotional service? That's a very big question. But as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Bhakt Baro Chatur, So devotees are not indulged in the mundane activities. So they got more time than what the normal people have. That's why you will see many people asking us, devotees who are preaching, who's doing Namhat, they generally ask, Prabhuji, Prabhuji and Mataji, how come you got so much of time doing this, giving classes, preparing prasadam, doing Namhat at home, evening classes, going to temple, then doing seva? How come you have got so much of time? But we all have 24 hours anyway, right? But how we have got more time than they have? That's the thing that we need to analyze. If you do the same scenario, if we are doing 2 hours of chanting every day, right? 2 hours of chanting every day, 365 days, the chanting will become 730 hours. That is for 1 year. For 60 years, this is probably if we start doing chanting at the age of 20 till 80. I've just worked on 60 years. That becomes 43,800 hours of chanting that we have done in this birth. That equates to around 5 years of chanting in this birth. And people say, oh, 5 years out of 80 years, we are just chanting. Only 5 years? But hey, we have to work on other aspects as well. Say, for example, we just in half an hour of listening to the lecture. That equates to 182 hours for a year. And for 60 years, it becomes 10,950 hours for 60 years. That equates to 1.25 years of chanting in this birth. And similarly, half an hour of reading will again 1.25 years. And this doesn't include Bhagavatam classes that we hear in the morning, that what we are doing right now. There's no chanting, there's no listening. This is just discussion of Bhagavatam classes. We go to temple, we do seva, we do namhat, we do dham seva. If you club up everything, make 8 years on top of that, which is sevas, which includes Vaishnav seva, dham seva, gau seva, any seva that you are doing. Whether you're going to temple, you are cooking there, you are serving there. This also comes as devotional service. So if you add up all these, that's around 8 years, 5 years plus 3 years. That comes out like 17 years of a life till we die. We did proper devotional service instead of wasting time in going movies, spending time in commuting, spending time going in screen time. This can be utilized here. That's why devotees has got same amount of time, but at the same time they have got enough to do their devotional service. That's why people say, we've got so much of time, and this is where the time comes from, because we indulge in spiritual things rather than spending our time in the material things. The next thing we can see here is the Bhagavatam says, both by rising and setting of the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilize this time by discussing the topic of all good personality of Godhead. So it says that time and tide waits for no one. And even if you are billionaire, trillionaire, or whatever, where you are, you cannot buy one molecule of time if it's gone. So whatever time we have been given, we have to utilize it very, very wisely. That's what this two shlokas says, that if we are not utilizing the time, what happens? The very last line of this 1.2.8, Shamhi eva kevalam, that's a useless labor. If we have not utilized our time, it is useless labor. We have got 8.4 lakh species of life. We have come to this human form of life. And if we didn't realize that what is real happiness is, how to get real happiness, who we are is not why we're here. If we are not this body, who we are we? If we don't answer these questions, you have to go back to 8.4 lakh species of life again. Right now, so as I said earlier, not only human beings, but even Lord Brahmas get bewildered, Indra get bewildered. So we are who are we? So we need to utilize this time by going to the scriptures, by going to the Guru, by going to the Shastras. Only then we'll get the real knowledge. And until unless we are in this material world, we will be bound to have those four defects, four real problems, three miseries, regardless we like or we don't like. Okay. So this material is meant to keep us engaged. That's her duty. If we are taken birth in this material world, we are bound with all those four defects, four real problems, and three miseries. We are bound to have it. But we have got the real knowledge. We will know how to pass those difficulties. We will know how to what the solution is. You know, and the material world has got her, which is one of the energies of Krishna, has got her duty to keep us engaged in this material world. That's her dharma. She is following her duties. What is our duty as a human being, as a jiva? It says, Bhagavad Gita says in chapter 18, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam. Our duty is to surrender to Krishna. If you're not doing it, the last line, Shami Eva Kevalam, we are wasting our time. We are wasting our time. Just like for an example, if there is, if it's raining outside and we have to go out, right? We have got some work to do and it's raining outside. Will you wait or rain will stop, then I will go? No. This work needs to be done, needs to be done. You have to go. And for that, rain, consider rain as a material thing. It's like a material energy who's trying to make us wet. But we've got an umbrella. That umbrella is our devotional service. So if we got that umbrella opened up, no matter how hard it's rain, we will be protected. So if its material energy is trying to take over, is running outside, but as a devotee, we have got an umbrella of devotional service. So even if she's tried to make us sweat, we won't be affected with the material energy. So what is the real solution? We have seen what the real problem is. Now we have understood what real happiness is, what is enjoyment is, what's the time factor is, and how we have wasted our time, how we can save our time, but what's the real solution? That's given in the next shloka. I would like someone to please read the shloka as well as the translation, if anyone, please.
Translation, I'll read, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the six material waves, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. And he can conquer the mind and five senses. However, this is not very wonderful for a pure devotee of the Lord, because even if a person is beyond the jurisdiction of the four castes, in other words, an untouchable, he is immediately relieved of bondage to material existence if he utters the holy name of the Lord even once. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So this is the solution. What is the solution? Even last few words, utters the holy name of the Lord even once. If we utter the holy name of the Lord even once, what will happen? We will be free from those six material waves, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. And even we can conquer the mind and the five senses. Isn't that amazing? Just by chanting the word Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's what we are chanting. 16 rounds of chanting. But here Bhagavatam says, even you utter once, you will be free from all these miseries. And I would just like to go on, purport from Canto 6, 17th chapter and shloka number 13. Purport Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely. By his personal behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that He was never distressed, but always happy in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should follow the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and engage constantly in chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then he will never feel distressed of the world of dualities. In any condition of life, one will be happy if he chants the holy name of the Lord. So that is the solution Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. That Krishna has made this material world so that we are engaged. We will engage our senses in sense gratification. That's what we are here for. Once, long time back, time immemorial, we wanted to enjoy. We were given a choice. You want to enjoy in Krishna Lok or you want to enjoy in this Bhulok. We choose Bhulok because we wanted to enjoy our senses. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that Srila Prabhupada says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always happy in chanting. That's what we need to develop the taste of chanting. If you, I was discussing this with few of my other colleagues, with few of my Keshav's friends and Keshav himself and other devotees as well. That what's the thing that you enjoy the most? Anything, and they say many things, but it's very difficult to say that I enjoy chanting. It's very difficult to say because we are still struggling to say it. We are still doing chanting as a duty. The day we start enjoying chanting, we are pretty much liberated the same day. That's why we need to understand. That's why we need to understand that enjoyment is what is real enjoyment, is what is real happiness is. It's coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is chanting the holy name of the Lord. If we chant the holy name of the Lord nicely, what will happen? We'll be free from the distress. And what will happen? In a condition of life, one will be happy if we chant the holy name of the Lord. We will be very easy for us to go home back to Godhead. Also, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the chanting of the holy name in 10.25. Japa Yagnosmi, of all the japa, I am the chanting, And if the devotees chant the holy name even inoffensively, it protects them eternally. So that's what these last two shlokas confirms that, if you chant even once the holy name of the Lord, you are protected. You are free from those six uh, six material waves, which is namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. Apart from that, you can conquer the mind and five senses just by chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is so powerful, so powerful. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to say on chanting. Would anyone like to read, please?
It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of quantity of sin that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such a powerful potential.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So we have found today that the real problem is because we have got dust accumulated on our soul. We have forgotten the relationship with who Krishna is, who are we. And because of that, we have been put in this material world for our own choices. And because we're in this material world, we are enjoying with our six senses or five senses to enjoy and forgetting and taking this enjoyment as happiness, which is temporary. And because of that, we are wasting our time every day. And because we are wasting our time, we are losing the opportunity to chant more. That's the only way solution, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said. Srila Prabhupada said that the chanting of the holy name is the only way back home, back to Godhead. And if we are not doing chanting properly, chances are very high that we have to come back again in the human form of life and again spend 84,000 species, 8.4 lakh species of life again to come into this body again to realize the same thing which we are doing right now. And there's no guarantee in that we may realize or we may even know who Krishna is at that point of time. So this opportunity has been given to us that we are all devotees getting together. We know who Krishna is. We have got Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Gurudev's mercy, chant holy name, and get back home, back to Godhead. I'll end the class here. If you have any questions or any add-ons, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanwar Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Babaji. Hare Krishna.
Such a wonderful class, Prabhu. I think you shouldn't keep the secret and you should be sharing with all the people. Maybe you should do a class in the temple for all the general public. Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
willing, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dhanwar Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Babaji. Hare Krishna, Babaji. Dandavat
Thank you
Pranam,
for a nice
Babaji.
class. Just on the matter of enjoyment and the material world, Prabhupada gave a very graphic example. Just like a fish, the fish normally like stays in the water. But if you take the fish out of the water and place on a nice apartment with a nice bed, air conditioning, the fish will not be happy. But the fish is out of the elements. So we are out of the elements because we belong to the spiritual world, and we try to find happiness in the material world, which is not there. Just like a fish trying to make fish happy outside the water. So it's a very nice example.
Yes, Prabhuji. Definitely. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for adding, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanwar Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Babaji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your very wonderful class and very nice realizations and nice points, especially the last two shlokas was really nice. And you showed how much time is spent in sleeping. I think for me it will be more. So and Prabhu, I especially like that chart. That was really good, where you showed our life, how it compares to Brahma's life. It was so very revealing. Which thank you for that, Prabhu.
Thank you, Babaji. Hare Krishna, Babaji.
Yeah.
Any other comments or queries in the class? Probably it doesn't seem to be still in the class here. Vancha kalpataruvesha
Kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavriddhi ki jai. His Grace Chitra Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
jai.
Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.
Hare.